Perfect Turd Podcast, episode 184, Lamar, Bad Girl Boogey.
Well, I guess this was a coincidence. It's Pride Month,
Yep,
and we were actually sent a screener for this movie, which is a queer and transgender horror slasher film.
yep,
So
that's what they said in the
yeah.
movie. They said the villain actually was the one that said that, right?
Oh,
Or
I
no?
thought they wrote it out in the beginning. Like,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Well, we
that's
can.
that's how I went, Joe. You got to pay attention.
Okay. Well, the villain is an asshole, but we'll talk about. Well,
Yes.
we start as we always start, Lamar. What did we think of the story?
Well, the story is basically back in the day. A mask pretty much takes over this one girl who's chilling out with her friends trying to do a seance and makes her kill people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the mask gets lost, it gets found again. And what we find out is that when you put on this mask, it makes you like enraged and it makes you want to kill the thing that you hate the most.
Yep.
And so in this movie, let's say if you have something against, I want to get all these letters, I might miss some, the LGBTQIA plus community, you're going to go after them. And that's what happens in this movie
That's what
because it's
happens.
found
Yeah.
again. Yeah.
Yeah, the villain, he's prejudiced in that way. So when the mask comes into his possession, he goes after like a group of young people to get them like that. So I thought that was interesting. I like the concept of the mask. I think the big problem I had with this movie in particular, it started out really awesome. It was like on fire, but then it lost kind of steam and turned into a little bit of a emo melodrama at times.
I agree. That helps with the aesthetic, which we're going to talk about later.
Yeah.
But I do agree that like it was like
Yeah.
killing, and then it was like feeling and all this stuff. It really got like you said, emo and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of what happened. But I still enjoyed the story.
Yeah, I do. I like the premise. I thought I just wished like the execution of it would have been a little more consistent. So I'm
Okay.
gonna give it half point for that.
I'll give it a 1, Joe.
Okay, well, good for you. The next category, Lamar, is what do we think of the characters?
Okay, here I feel like this is tipping on too much of we had too many characters. A
Okay, I
little
can see
bit.
that. Yeah.
Because you jump not only through time, but then you jump around like to like they have this group that they're hanging out with, and then they have relationships and stuff like that. There's one killing in particular where I was like, who's this person?
Yeah.
And then I feel like not enough of the characters had like their own kind of like individual kind of like quirks and stuff. So I was like, who is this person? Who is this person? So the characters were okay. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the only real memorable character was the one guy that was like the boyfriend of the one girl, but everyone made fun because he was like so much older or something. And that was just like a funny quirk of a character. And I think the actor, he kind of played it up and it was kind of funny. So I mostly remembered him a lot. So yeah, I get what you're saying. Like maybe too many characters and none of them really had their own like super unique thing about them.
Everybody is mad at the world because
Yeah.
okay, they're all of course, gay, but it's just kind of like they all kind of have like that one note and you're just like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay." Eh,
Yeah, they could have done a little more with the characters. I'll give it a half point.
I agree, half a point. Yes.
Now, the next category is an interesting one, Lamar, is what we thought of the aesthetic of the movie.
Well, we had a light show in this movie. Like it had a lot of lighting things
Mm-hmm.
that I liked. It was almost like if John Wick, was a horror movie.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of like really cool like lighting scenarios and stuff. And then like when a girl dies, they really hang on that, which I guess goes to your point where it's kind of emo, or it's like you
Yeah.
get it, she's gone. But they kind of like show like the killer coming out of this person and all of that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And how they shot it was kind of like lo-fi, but very vibrant.
Yeah.
And I
was
liked
cool.
that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like I would like to see more movies from the director or whoever came up with this concept for this, because it was kind of cool, and we always just appreciate to see something different. People trying different stuff instead of especially in B movies where like they don't have a lot of money, they don't have a lot of resources, but if you can just try to do something cool, I'm down. So,
Yes.
what did you give it?
I gave it a 1.
I agree. 1 point for aesthetic.
Yes.
The next category really started off the chain. The next category is special effects slash kills and gore and all that stuff.
Uh, it you kind of mentioned this. It kind of started off like really building up to something, but then it kind of drifted off.
It did,
Yeah,
but there were other scenes where they had more gore and kills and stuff. And I always appreciate, we talk about this all the time, practical effects.
practical effects are appreciated. I don't
I
think there was a digital blood
I was
spurt or
about to
anything
ask you
like that.
that. Was
Yeah,
there any digital blood splatter? It seemed like they did everything practical.
I think everything was practical. If they did anything digital, it was maybe for a lighting effect, but that fits with the movie.
Right, right, right.
So, but that goes along like what we said with the aesthetic. So everything else was practical though. But I will say, were some of the kills too standard, just like a stabbing?
No, because I kind of see what you're saying, but they did stuff where like someone got cut open with like glass, and they really like dig in there and pull it, and
That is
stuff.
true.
So stuff like that kind of like it's visceral, So it's cool. There's some brain stuff going on there.
That
So
is
they
true. I forgot that part.
they did some stuff, and I loved everything about people just doing the practical stuff and making it cool. I'm giving it 1 point.
You've convinced me, Joe. It is a 1. Yes.
All
Yes.
right. The last category, Lamar. I know you have an issue here. I want to hear it. The killer. What do we think of the killer?
Okay. I think the concept is good.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to find out who the killer is.
Yeah.
We're not going to spoil things. The killer was very obvious when they were revealed, and I was just kind of like, really? There's no mystery to it. It's not
Yeah.
like well, this person has, some crazy backstory. But when they revealed the killer, I was like, well, it's like I didn't see it coming because I didn't think it would be that,
Yeah.
obvious.
It was.
Way to spoil it, Joe. Well,
Spoilers.
you know what this reminded me of? It's kind of like a Scooby Doo episode where it's like, oh, it's
Yeah.
Mr. Blah, blah, blah. And the monster isn't real, but it's kind of like, oh,
Should it have been somebody that maybe they thought was like an ally to them, but it turns out that person had those deep feelings inside of them that the mask.
yes, 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 something that's a little bit more, surprising.
Yeah.
What was that one movie? The Wolf movie. This is maybe a little bit better, but
Where the
not
brother
by
was
much.
the killer in that movie was the brother, and they literally did the Scooby Doo like. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. I mean, I do like the concept of the mask
That
making
is
the
true.
people into the killers and stuff.
Yeah,
So I mean, there's cool. So, what do you give it?
I'm gonna give it a half a point. That bothered me.
I can see that. I agree. I'll give it a 0.5 point as well.
Yes.
Well, Lamar, we tally the score, and this movie gets a 3.75 out of 5.
There is something here.
Yeah. If
Yes.
my biggest takeaway from this, because we watch a lot of B movies, and then some of the ones we see were like, I don't want to see any more of these or whatever. My biggest takeaway with this film is the filmmakers involved. I want to see more from them. I think they have a style, they have a vision. I want to see what they can do in the future with it.
Yes. But you know what my takeaway is? I can never put on this mask because people that are on TikTok,
Uh,
ugh,
for me, it would be people that don't like time travel. Sorry,
If that ever
Lamar.
happens, I'm gonna write my eulogy. Just well, Joe is coming after me because I don't like his goofy ass time travel ideas. So goodbye, world. And if there is ever time travel, don't come back and resuscitate me because I'm that petty. Because his goofy ass time travel ideas just makes me cringe.
Terrible. You're a terrible human, Lamar.
No, it's just I just don't like TikTok, so I can never put on the mask. It'll be terrible, man.
Well, does that wrap this up then, sir?
Yes,
Bad Girl Boogie. Peace.
deuces.